So if you own any crypto, today is a big day. Today's a day where we are going to get the Federal Reserve rate decision. We are expecting at 90% to get a rate cut today. Okay, so that's pretty much a given that's been built into the market. We know that that's in fact going to take place. But the real news here and the real story here is what happens next. Where do we go from there? And looking out into the future. And this does 100% impact you if you own any crypto at all. Okay, from Bitcoin to meme coins, today's decision does impact your crypto portfolio. So let's jump into this. My name's Austin. I cover crypto every single day. Right now, crypto is up about 1.5%. Bitcoin is up 0.7. Ethereum, which I was doing some research on Ethereum, looks like it might have reached its support level, its bottom, and we're going to kind of start to see it maybe go up from here at 5%. But that's really not the lead story, what we're hearing. You can see, ironically, we've got a pretty much a mixed bag here between red and green on the 24-hour chart. You can see where my mouse is. But what we're really here to talk about is the Federal Reserve today, approximately about 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to see Chairman Powell come out. We're going to give his speech. But the real news here is the fact that, yes, we are going to get that rate cut. Again, 90% chance we're going to get it. That's been built into the market. I'm not expecting crypto and or Wall Street to really do anything off of that news. But right here, you see where it says, quote, hawkish cut. This is interesting. Okay, so I've been covering the Federal Reserve, and we haven't really seen headlines come out that say, yes, you're going to get a cut, but it's going to be a hawkish cut. Hawkish equals bearish. Okay, that's what's interesting about this. So I dug into this because it looks like we're going to slow down on interest rate cuts going into 2026. And even more important here is the division that exists inside of the Federal Reserve as to the board members from the different central banks as to whether we should cut or not interest rates on a go-forward basis. And we've got a tremendous amount of division. They're not unanimous. And this goes all the way back to, I believe, 1983. Yeah, 1983. We haven't seen this much division in the Federal Reserve since then. And that's what's kind of really interesting and really important here. Okay, so as I said, there is division in the yellow. There could be division within the central bank over the decision. There is division for this. Today's decision to cut the rate is unanimous, okay? But we are going to get some dissents today. And what dissent is that voices from inside the Federal Reserve Committee, the central bank committee, saying, hey, we're going to get them in both a hawkish and a dovish, bearish, bullish direction. Because again, this division, okay? And so moving on, there is consensus giving us a rate cut today, but there seems to be division, again, that we're finished for now. So it's going to draw dissents on both sides from as many as 5 different central bankers. And they go on to list them here, right here. If you want to pause the video and kind of read here, I'm not going to read all this because, I got to keep this moving for you. But bottom line, what we're seeing is division. And again, there haven't been 5 dissents against a policy decision since May of 1983. Okay. And that's what's interesting about this. And so where does this leave us? Okay. So it leaves us in a position where we are going to get the rate cut today. It's built into the market. Not really expecting the market to do anything either pro, bullish or bearish today. Everybody's expecting it. Everybody's going to be watching to see what Chairman Powell says in his speech. And again, we're probably going to get hawkish verbiage, bearish, hawkish equals bearish, dialogue coming from him. Again, we have this dissension in the central bank committee where we seem to be somewhat split, right? Some people want future rate cuts. Some people don't. And that's the interesting part. So what does that create? It creates uncertainty. It creates uncertainty in the market. And so on a go-forward basis, do I think that the crypto bull run has been canceled or anything like that? Absolutely not. I think the Federal Reserve is going to take a little bit of a back seat moving into 2026, which may not be a bad thing per se, as it moves to more of a neutral scenario and possibly not giving us any rate cuts in 26. Would it be better if they gave us some rate cuts? I know that there's people out there who would talk about both sides of that coin, but reducing the interest rate to fight off against inflation to ultimately have a ripple down effect, reduce the cost of borrowing for mortgages and cars and things of that nature. It looks like that's going to be put on hold, which is going to stymie, technical term there, right? Spending on a more of a macro level. People are not going to buy as many houses. They're not going to buy as many cars, which is going to slow down our economy and in relationship to those expenditures, things of that nature. Credit card debt will continue to be and run rampant. I think we got a lot of negative around this and uncertainty. And that leaves us in this place of uncertainty. So where does that leave you in your crypto portfolio? If you have a long-term view of it, you're like, hey, I'm buying and I'm holding and I'm not going to really sell for years, then it really doesn't impact you right now. But from a day-to-day operational standpoint, it's going to continue to be somewhat of a similar theme, a similar message as we roll in. And as we get into kind of the first quarter, what we're looking for here is positive catalysts to really, kick off a bull run for us. We've been waiting for one. We should have, in theory, had one in the fourth quarter. We historically Q4 are great for crypto, but we had the government shutdown. There's a lot of other different things we've talked about quite a bit in previous videos. And it leaves us in this place of uncertainty. And that's really it. And I wish I could have better news for you and give you some, definitive answer. But the truth of the matter is that this is where we're at. The dissension in this decision creates a scenario where I don't think we're going to have a really quick resolve to this issue of these Federal Reserve rate cuts. And they do 100 million% impact crypto. And so it leaves us in a place where we have to kind of wait and see, and we have to look for other positive catalysts to really kick off and get crypto started. So this is concerning to me that we're not going to be getting any really right now. We're not going to be getting any future cuts as we roll as we roll into 26. Now we might get one. There's speculation we might get one in 26. Again, you also have the fact of President Trump ultimately is going to be replacing Chairman Powell of the Federal Reserve. We know that that's going to be coming up in 26 as well. That could possibly create a different political environment inside of the Federal Reserve. Lots of balls in the air, and we'll see how this continues to play out, like juggling, right? So look, I appreciate you giving me a few minutes. Thank you as always. And more news to come. See you.